All right, so get ready because today we're diving headfirst into a job that most of us probably don't think much about, like ever. We're talking about the life of a postman or postwoman.
Yeah, it's actually kind of wild when you think about it. This job seems so straightforward, right? But once you start peeling back the layers, it gets way more intricate and, honestly, way more interesting than you'd expect.
Totally. I mean, we all get mail, obviously, but I bet most people, if you ask them to picture a mail carrier, they'd probably describe that classic uniform pushing a cart overflowing with letters, which, as it turns out, is a pretty outdated picture these days.
Yeah, for sure.
We did some digging into some resources from RoleCatcher. It's like this treasure trove of career info, and the way they break down this job, it's really eye-opening.
One of the things that really jumped out to me was just how much variety is baked into this job. We're not living in a world of just letters anymore. It's packages, and not just like small boxes, but all shapes, all sizes. You're dealing with different neighborhoods, crazy weather sometimes. And get this, a surprising amount of face-to-face interaction with people.
Hold on, back up a sec. It's a surprising amount of what? Customer interaction? Seriously. That wasn't on my radar at all. I just assumed it was a pretty solitary kind of gig.
Right, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But the research actually shows that a crazy 67%, like two-thirds of the job, relies on, get this, customer and personal service skills. Which, when you think about it, makes sense, right?
Okay, yeah, actually.
You're the one showing up at their door, day in, day out, rain or shine. You become a familiar face, someone they start to recognize and even trust?
It's true. I never thought about it like that, but you're not just delivering mail. You're kind of like a part of the community fabric.
That's it exactly. You become a fixture. And that familiarity you build, it means you're not just handing someone a package and running off. You're answering questions, maybe dealing with a dog that's gotten loose and problem solving on the fly, all while trying to keep to a pretty tight schedule, usually.
So it's not all like sunshine and friendly chats then. What about those days when stuff hits the fan? Like a wrong address, or maybe a dog who's a little too excited about the mail arriving.
Well, that's where the real skills come into play, right?
Yeah.
You've got to be able to think on your feet, be resourceful, adaptable. Like the guide actually had this example, a postman, who used his knowledge of the neighborhood to find a detour when one of the roads on his route was shut down because of construction.
Oh, wow.
He knew a back way to get in that wasn't even on his official route.
See, that's the kind of stuff that never even crossed my mind. It's like being a detective, but for packages and mail.
And the challenge is they don't stop there either. This whole industry is changing so fast, especially with technology, right? And all that tech, it has a huge impact on how postmen and postwomen do their jobs every single day.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even just like, knowing how to deal with a road closure. Remember we were talking about those handheld tracking devices earlier?
Yeah.
Those things are becoming more and more common, right? Like they're everywhere in the industry now, and they're totally changing how postmen and postwomen are managing their routes and even just like how they get those deliveries done.
Oh, right. I totally forgot about those. So it's not even just about knowing your route like inside and out anymore. You've got to be like tech savvy too on top of it all.
You got it. Those devices, they help with everything. Like everything from figuring out the absolute best route so you're not wasting time to like tracking packages in real time so you know where everything is every step of the way.
Wow.
It's all about efficiency and being accountable for all those deliveries. But here's the thing, even with all this cool technology, at its core, it's still very much a people-centered job, especially when you start looking at how you can move up career-wise. Oh, okay. So let's talk about climbing that career ladder then. The RoleCatcher guide, they made it pretty clear that this isn't just a dead-end job. There's a whole career path you can follow, and it all starts with the postman or postwoman trainee position.
Yeah, for sure. So as a trainee, you're really just learning the ropes, sorting mail, figuring out all those different routes. It's super hands-on. You're working side by side with those experienced postmen and postwomen, people who've probably seen it all literally.
It sounds kind of like the kind of job where you learn something new every single day.
That's exactly it. And as you get more of that experience, you get good at those core skills, you move up. Eventually, you become a full-fledged postman or postwoman, and that means you're managing your own route, taking on way more responsibility.
So you're not just delivering mail anymore at that point. You're basically managing a whole section of the community's, like, correspondence with each other.
100%. You've got it. And you're the one dealing with those more, like, complicated customer interactions, too. Maybe handling complaints, redirecting mail if it goes to the wrong place, things like that.
Okay.
It's funny, the RoleCatcher guide, they actually had this one story. It was about a postwoman who noticed this elderly gentleman on her route. He hadn't been picking up his mail for a few days. Turns out the poor guy had taken a spill and couldn't get to his mailbox.
Oh, no.
Exactly. But she was the one who noticed, and she
Mm.
called her help. And honestly, she probably saved the day, you know?
Wow, that's amazing. It just shows you, like, the kind of impact that even just a mail carrier can have. It's way more than just dropping something in a mailbox, that's for sure.
And that impact, it only grows as you keep climbing that career ladder we were talking about.
Yeah.
So let's say you're someone who's interested in like leadership, you want to be in charge of things. Well, there's the senior postman or senior postwoman position.
Right, right. Like, the guide made it pretty clear that that's where things start to get interesting in terms of, like, actually managing other people.
Yeah, totally. That's where you're supervising those newer postmen and postwomen. You're the one making sure that those daily operations are running smoothly. Let me see. The example profile even mentioned something about optimizing routes and schedules to enhance productivity. Like you're thinking about strategy, you're demonstrating real leadership qualities. It's not just about delivery anymore.
Okay, so it's almost like you're running your own little team then, just within that larger postal service structure.
Exactly. And if you do well in that environment, if you're killing it, the next logical step up is post office supervisor. That's a whole other level. You're overseeing everything at that point, from like staffing to budgeting, even making sure that all those packages and letters get sorted and delivered on time. You're responsible for the whole thing.
Okay, now that sounds like that's a serious management position. We're talking spreadsheets and meetings at that point.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. This is big time stuff now. RoleCatcher actually gave this example. It was a post office supervisor, and he literally had to like showcase financial acumen. Like that was the phrase they used, just to secure funding so they could buy new equipment at his branch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about like thinking strategically, understanding the business side of things. That's what they need from you at that level.
Wow, I never realized how much goes on, like, behind the scenes at the post office. It's wild. It sounds like a total crash course in, like, business management almost.
It really can be. And if you can prove yourself at that level, like you're really good at it, the ultimate goal, the peak of the postman career mountain, it's becoming the post office manager.
Post office manager. Okay, that has a nice ring to it. It really is amazing when you think about it. Like, you start out sorting mail as a trainee, and you can climb all the way up to, like, running the whole place.
It really is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And as post office manager, you're not just like, you know, keeping the lights on and making sure the mail goes out. You're the one setting the overall vision for your branch, building those relationships out in the community. The guide even mentioned like analyzing performance data and stuff, making sure everything is running as smoothly as possible. It's definitely a demanding job, no doubt. But from what I read, it can be seriously rewarding too.
It really makes you wonder, though, right? With all the talk about robots and AI taking over everything, like, is there even a future for human mail carriers anymore? I mean, 10 years from now, are we even going to be talking about this job? Or will it be like drones instead of people delivering everything?
That is the million-dollar question right there, for sure. And honestly, it's something that everyone in the postal industry is trying to figure out right now.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing the early stages of it.
Right.
We talked about those handheld devices
Right.
and the fact that like delivery drones could be a thing very soon.
Right. Like those self-driving cars, but instead it's a self-flying mailbox.
Exactly. But even with all that super cool futuristic stuff on the horizon, there's still a really strong argument that the human element, like actual people, it'll always be a key part of this job, especially because at its core, it's so rooted in being part of a community, having those personal connections.
Yeah, that makes sense. People, like, I think they genuinely appreciate seeing that familiar face every day, having those little chats at the mailbox, just like that human connection. You're not going to get that with a drone, that's for sure.
Exactly. Plus, remember all those situations we talked about before? The dog who gets loose, the unexpected road closure, even just that story about the elderly gentleman who needed help. Those are the times when you need a human being who can think quickly, who's compassionate, adaptable. Robots, at least for now, they just aren't there yet, you know? They can't replace that human touch, that ability to just figure things out in the moment.
It's just like all those stories you hear about delivery drivers, you know, like rescuing people or going above and beyond. You can't program that kind of instinct into a machine.
100%, yeah. And I think that's exactly why, even with all this talk about automation, the role of the postman, the postwoman, it's going to transform, definitely, but it's not going away. In the future, maybe they're the ones managing teams of delivery robots, overseeing super complex logistics, using all that cool technology to be more efficient. but that human touch, that'll still be there.
So, like, the postman of the future is more like a conductor. They're orchestrating this whole symphony of deliveries, making sure everything runs smoothly.
That's such a good way to put it. Like, they're going to need to be good with technology, adaptable to whatever gets thrown their way, and have awesome people skills.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe one day, instead of training new recruits, they'll be training their robot assistants.
Now that's an image. A postman showing a drone how to, like, navigate a tricky mailbox. Honestly, this deep dive has been eye-opening. Like, I never would have guessed there was so much to this job. It's way more than just putting mail in a box, that's for sure.
Me too.
Hmm.
It's crazy how it combines that, like, tradition of delivering mail with all this new technology.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you there's always something new to learn, even about the jobs that seem kind of, ordinary.
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening, next time you see your mail carrier, give them a little nod, a thank you, whatever. They're out there navigating a world that's changing every single day, one package, one letter at a time. And who knows, maybe they are training those next-gen delivery drones in their spare time.
Now, that's an idea for a whole other deep dive.
Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and keep diving deeper into the world around you.